Let's talk about dates. No, not those. Yeah, those. I mean, look how much fun they're having. Dates are great, right? Until they're not. Like, maybe he said, "Sup, bruh?" to your dad. Maybe she won't stay off her phone. Maybe he won't stop taking selfies. Maybe he said you remind him of someone special. His ex-girlfriend. Yeah, next. It can make you wish dates came with an escape button. But there's a way to make dating a better experience. We can have coffee without conflict. We can go to dinner without wanting to dash. We can save the date.
What's up, high school students? Have you ever been on a date that just went wrong and just fell apart? Listen, I have quite a few contenders, but really the most embarrassing one is when on a first date, my plan was to pick this girl up, go to dinner, go to a movie, and then if things are going well, to go to coffee and then to take her home. Now, I remember being pretty anxious and nervous about this date, but things really began to go off the rails when on the way from her house to dinner, I was pulled over for speeding. Now, I was nervous and I wasn't really paying attention to my speed, and so I got pulled over for going 6 or 7 miles an hour over the limit. And I thought in the middle of it, I can save this. Like, I can make this into something funny. We can laugh about it at dinner. We're good. We'll keep going. And dinner went pretty well, but everything really came crashing down when on the way from dinner to the movies, I got pulled over again for speeding by a different cop. And it was then that I realized this date might be over. Like, after I have to pay these tickets, I'll have no money left to pay for a movie or coffee. And I remember looking at her just saying, I think I should just take you home. And really, I think you should drive yourself home because I'm just going to get another ticket. And it's hard to look cool and it's hard to really connect with somebody when you spend half of your date with a police officer. And I remember thinking, can I save this date? And the answer was definitely no way. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you've been on a bad date where just everything fell apart. Maybe you've never been on a date before, and that's awesome. But I want you to know for the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about dating. And maybe date and dating are words that you just don't even use anymore. Maybe you categorize it differently. Maybe for you, you're just hanging out, or you're just talking, or you're texting, or you, even though they've moved away, you still FaceTime them every day, or you've got a Snap streak going. However you want to categorize that, that's fine. But to simplify things, we want to use the word dating. And here's how I want to define it. Being in a relationship, whatever that looks like, where the other person means more to you than just being a good friend. You must be thinking, awesome, I get to hear about dating from somebody at church who's just going to tell me I shouldn't date and I should just read my Bible, stay inside, and be single forever. And I want you to know that's not at all the case. The series is not about discouraging you from dating, but really about helping you learn how to date well. Because the truth is, whether you consider yourself to be solidly single or feel like you've found your soulmate, chances are good that at some point in your life you're going to date. And if you're going to date and have a relationship one day, that what we talk about today will give you the best shot to save the day and hopefully have good and healthy relationships. You might be surprised to hear that the Bible has things to say about dating, but it does. And today I want us to look at the book of Proverbs. It was written by a guy named Solomon. And God blessed Solomon with incredible wisdom, and he was incredibly wise. And even though he knew better, he didn't always do better. And a lot of the things that he has to tell us, he learned from doing the wrong way or the hard way. And I want us to look at something he said, because I think if we can apply some of the wisdom that he has to dating, it can really help us to save the date. Look at what he wrote. Put your outdoor work in order and get your fields ready. After that, build your house. Now you must be thinking, I thought we were talking about dating and not like fields and building a house. But what I want you to see is the principle here. The principle of what God is trying to say through Solomon applies perfectly to dating. And here's what he's saying in the proverb. He's saying that if you want to build a good house, that you have to take the right steps in the right order. And he says, first you have to get your fields and your land and everything else in order and set. And he says, only then should you build your house. And there are really two things that we're supposed to see here. And the first is that there is meant to be an order to things. If you've ever tried to build a piece of furniture from IKEA or anywhere else, you know that if you're looking at the list of instructions, if you skip even just one, things won't go the right way and you'll end up with a very different product, or things just won't look or fit the way that they're supposed to. And the second thing we're supposed to see is that being prepared is the best way to succeed. And we know that this is true, but how often do you and I try to be successful without first having the right foundation? And here's what I mean. We have that big test coming up, but we don't really study until 10 minutes before. We know we need a certain GPA to get into the college that we want to, but we don't really start taking our grades seriously until the middle of junior year. We have that big performance or that big game or that big trial, but we don't really start practicing or rehearsing until right before. And this is not about shaming anybody, because we all do this. But if we want to be successful, we have to be prepared and take the right steps in the right order. And if we apply that wisdom to dating, I think this is what it means for us. That first, you have to get yourself ready to date, then you date. And another way to say that is this, that when it comes to dating, becoming the right person is more important than finding the right person. Which means you need to start with you, and usually we get the order wrong. So many times we just run out there looking for the perfect guy or girl, thinking, I want them to have these traits and to look this way and to have these characteristics and these dreams. Where are they? Are they on my team? Are they at school? Are they at church? Are they on Instagram? Where is this person I'm looking for? And getting the order right doesn't really always come naturally to us. I want us to look at this passage of scripture that talks about love that I think will be a good filter for us to see everything through, and also will help us to get the order right. This was written by the Apostle Paul, who was an early church planter, and you might have even heard this read at a wedding before because it's all about love. But here's what he wrote. He said, "Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable. It keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance." The way Paul talks about love sounds pretty incredible. You might be thinking, I would love to find somebody that has those qualities, that's patient and kind and not boastful and not rude and loving. And I want you to know that this is a great list for you to look for as you date and look for relationships. But the most important thing about this list is that God, through Paul, was challenging us to become them. That before we went out and looked for these characteristics in people, that it was a challenge to us to become these things first. And this is bigger than dating, and learning how to live this way and demonstrate these qualities pays off whether you're dating or not. And we don't just become these things by accident. It takes work and practice. My challenge to you students, whether you're dating or you're not, is to work on becoming this list. And here's a great exercise for you, to go back and read that verse, and every time it says love, to just insert your name. And ask yourself, is it true? Are you patient and kind? Are you not rude? Are you not judgmental? Are you loving? And so back to dating, I want you to think back to Paul's list, that love is patient, it's kind, it isn't jealous, and it doesn't demand its own way. Wouldn't those be amazing qualities to find in somebody else? Of course they would. But I want you to think about this, that patient and kind people and those who put others first are often attracted to those who have the same qualities. And so becoming a person who is those things is the first step. One, because it will help you in your own life and walk with God. And secondly, because it will help you in the dating process. And ultimately, students, I want you to know this, that even though dating might be this massive thing in your life, or this anxiety or worry, or maybe it's not even on your radar, that regardless of where you are in the process or not in the process, that when it comes to dating, that becoming the right person is more important than finding the right person.